you want your place to look not just good, but like Architectural Digest good, understanding the balance between heavy and light is so crucial. Obviously, we all love vintage furniture. You probably wouldn't be watching me if you didn't love vintage furniture, but have you ever felt like your space becomes too thematic or too stuffy when you load it up with vintage? Okay, not to be a bitch, but I'm gonna use my own apartment photos from Architectural Digest as reference on this, only because I don't have time to dig up reference images. So in the past, I have touched on visual weight and how a piece has a lot of visual weight if there's no air underneath it, like my sofa, it's really grounded. It has lighter visual weight if it's really leggy and there's a lot of air going underneath it. Long story short, you want to make sure you balance your heavy visual pieces with some lighter visual pieces. But there's another thing to consider when you're assessing the visual weight of a piece. It's a little bit hard to explain, but I'm going to try. More traditional, more vintage, you could even say more stuffy, those pieces tend to feel visually heavy, whereas contemporary pieces can often lend a lightness, and this really has nothing to do with how much air is underneath it, like in my last point, and it's more about how the piece actually makes you feel. For example, this marble table, more of a vintage piece, even though there is plenty of air underneath it, it reads as super heavy. It helps that it's also literally heavy. Whereas these very contemporary alto stools, because they're more contemporary, they lend a freshness and a lightness that balances out the marble table really well. And that's really why like a battered old burgundy Turkish rug, for example, feels so correct with maybe a really contemporary Arco lamp. It has nothing to do with the actual weight. It doesn't even have to do anything with like the amount of air underneath those pieces. It has to do with the weight of time in the rug and the fresh lightness of the contemporary piece. I'd also say here I would note the really heavy traditional aspect of my mantle, countered by the lighter aspect of this contemporary lighting piece and the stool. Or in my bedroom, for example, the heavy wrought iron sort of grounded bed. It's vintage, it carries the weight of time. That weight is countered by these much more contemporary CB2 sconces. So it's really not about how much it literally weighs. It's not always about how much air goes underneath the piece and how leggy it is, although that is a factor. Sometimes, just by virtue of being a contemporary piece, it feels light, it feels fresh. That brings a nice levity to your more traditional pieces that are weighed down by time.